Hello, guys, gals, and non binary pals. Welcome back to another episode of the Sarah Talks podcast. This is round two because my first video was muted. Gotta love technology. um, but I'm here to share my thoughts on The Last of Us Season 1 because I just finished it the other day. And my thoughts on Season 2 will be out on Friday for episode 1 of season 2. But overall, season 1 I enjoyed. I have not played the game yet, so my opinions are solely based from what I've watched other people play, and by other people I mean Bryce and like a couple other people, but mostly Bryce. Um, but overall the show overall was good. We did get a lot more lore into specifically Bill and Frank's relationship, and when they got married, it was instant waterworks. And in the gameplay, Frank takes his own life and writes this like really aggressive note to Bill, but in the show, they do like a Romeo Juliet type situation and drink wine with a bunch of pills in the I shouldn't be laughing, it's not funny, but they drink wine with a bunch of pills and they both unalive themselves together, which I thought was really sweet, honestly. I mean, yeah, it was sad, but like it goes to show that the other didn't want to live without the other, so they both just did it together. So that was sweet. Um, I think Bella Ramsey was a great casting choice for Ellie in the show. Um, that was she's doing a great job. She's powerful and embodies Ellie's sass that we get in The Last of Us Part 1. And the show is season 1 is The Last of Us Part 1, and then season 2 is the first half of part 2, and then from my understanding, there's gonna be a season 3, and season 3 is going to be the second half of The Last of Us Part 2. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding of, like, the timeline. Um, some things that I noticed that are just, like, some minor things, but I love Pedro Pascal, so this is not me making a dig at him whatsoever, but there was a joke that he makes in the show that's similar to or that's pretty much the same joke as the one in the game, um, and it's when Ellie hands him a cassette tape with music on it and was like, "Oh, does this make you feel all nostalgic?" And then in the game, Troy Baker, who plays Joel, is like, "Actually, this is before my time," like, kind of sassing her back, being like, "I'm not that old." But Pedro, when he said it, it sounded more like he was reading from a script, and it wasn't like, "Oh, haha," like, making a joke out of the situation. And then, in the Left Behind, episode, which is the Left Behind DLC in the game, um, Riley, who is Ellie's best friend, hands Ellie or gives Ellie a pun book, and Ellie's reading it, and there's a pun about screenshots, and both of them go, "What's a screenshot?" And Bryce and I kinda discussed this, but I do actually kind of agree with his take on it. Um, this particular episode takes place in 2003. I don't know if screenshots were a thing in 2003, I don't think so. So, that was kind of an oversight on, um, Neil Druckmann and the production people, like, that I think that was an oversight on their end because the joke just didn't land like it should have, um, because if this was in 2013, it might have been funnier because screenshots existed in 2013, but in 2003, not so much. So, just another minor thing. I also really liked that they kept Marlene as the original, um, actress that played Marlene in the game, so that was nice that they kept her, but I would have liked to kind of um, see that happen more, with some of the other characters. One thing that I didn't mention in my first video that I'll mention now is I didn't even notice this until Bryce actually had to tell me, but there's one scene in the or episode in the TV show where there's this lady Kathleen, which I'm gonna get into that in a second, but Kathleen is like the leader of I don't know if there's like a specific there's not a specific group name, but she's like a leader of a group and she lost her brother. Yeah, her brother. And she's like talking to people trying to say like, "Oh, we need to go find Henry and Sam. Henry's responsible for this and we need to unalive them," basically. And one of the guys that she was talking to is actually Tommy's voice actor, who is Joel's brother in the game. So that was pretty cool, and I didn't actually notice that until he pointed that out to me, but that was pretty cool to see. They also had, Abby's Abby is a character in Last of Us Part 2, but they had Abby's voice actress Laura Bailey as one of the nurses in the hospital at the end when Joel is rescuing Ellie from, having surgery from the fireflies because it was gonna kill her to find a cure. Um, so that was pretty cool that they had the, original some of the original, actors and actresses in it, and then Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie in the game, or is the voice actress for Ellie in the game, plays Ellie's mom in the show, which I thought was kind of interesting. People in a Last of Us Facebook group are saying that, like, they kinda look alike, but I don't really see it personally. Um, so I don't know, but it was nice to see her in the other role instead of playing Ellie, she's playing Ellie's mom. Um, and we actually got backstory into Ellie's mom, Anna, and kind of how Ellie get um got immune, which is because her mom got bit and I guess her mom like pulled her out in time to be able to save Ellie from also like dying. So that was pretty cool that we got that backstory because I was watching the gameplay and I'm like, okay, how do we like but how did Ellie become immune? So it was nice that that got answered in the show. People probably already knew that before I did because of course I'm late for everything, but you know what? It's fine. um, so that was interesting. Um, Also, I like that Maria, who is Tommy's wife, is black in the show, and I mentioned this in the first episode of part 2 review that'll be up soon, but, in the game, she's white, so there's some wokeness going on, which I know Republicans are gonna say that that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I love it. I love the LGBT representation with, Bill and Frank, um, and Ellie is gay, and then we'll be introduced to some other characters that in season 2, that are also in the LGBTQ communities, so that's nice that they're being more inclusive, so, um, I'm trying to remember, like, everything else that I said, but, um, yeah, oh, I guess another thought is it was a little too similar to the game, if that makes sense. Like, yes, we got backstory with Bill and Frank that we didn't get in the game, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of, like, creativity with some of the lines or, like, some of the or, like, more ad libs rather than sticking to a script and, like, that's it. Like, I would have liked to see more from Pedro specifically, like, I know Joel, like, the character of Joel is supposed to be, like, this manly man, tough guy who doesn't talk about his feelings, you know? But I would have liked to see a little bit more personality, I guess, come through, like, with some of the lines, instead of just keeping it to what what is scripted and written. Also, my brain is kind of all over the place, so I'm just gonna say thoughts as they come into my brain. But Troy Baker, who played Joel, or who was the voice actor for Joel in the game, was in the show, but he had such a minor part that it was honestly kind of insulting. So he put we call him Buddy Boy, that's not his name, but that's what Ellie calls him, and it kinda just stuck with me. Um, so he plays Buddy Boy, and I don't know, that's just insulting because like, you're gonna take the guy who is the main guy in the game and give him such a minor, unimportant role in the show, so that was just kind of, like, um, a slap in the face in my opinion. Um, and then the end of the show, we get something really important, and I don't remember this being in the game, if it is, and I just don't remember it, that's fine, but yeah. But Joel talks to Ellie about him losing Sarah and how it made him not want to be here anymore. And that was super powerful for me, because this is when we really start to see Joel open up and trust Ellie more, and you really see their relationship grow. Because, like I said at the beginning, Ellie tries to get him to talk, but he's like, "I don't wanna talk about my feelings," you know? So, having it end with him, like, building that trust was kind of a big turning point. However, he does lie to her. Those of you that have played the game know that he does because when they're driving home from I think it's Utah? Yeah, Salt because they're at Salt Lake City in the hospital. And he's taking her from the hospital, and they're in the car going back to Jackson. Um, she wakes up from the anesthesia and the drugs, and they get out of the car, and they're walking to Jackson, and she tells Joel, "Tell me that everything you said about the Fireflies is true, or swear to me that everything you said about the Fireflies is true." And Joel looks at her, and he says, "I swear." And then she takes, like, a minute to, like, kind of process, and she says, "Okay," and then they go back to Jackson. But, yeah, I still think that she knew deep down that he was lying to her, and that's gonna play out in season 2, and it already has started to play out, and you'll hear my thoughts on that again on Friday, like I've said several times throughout this video. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts on season 1. Overall, I give it a 8.5 out of 10. I definitely still cried, and it was very good overall. Just those little minor little gripes and changes, but I definitely am glad that I watched it, and I'm all caught up and can enjoy season 2 now. So, thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to be a good bandicoot because Crash is watching, and I will see you in the next episode.